When it comes to writing music, I think that it is something that is almost universally agreed upon that synths are amazing. And they're amazing specifically because of how versatile they are. If you just take a second to think about any instrument imaginable, I'm sure that you could recreate it with a synth, and there are almost endless things that you can do with them. However, one thing that doesn't get talked about as much is vocal synths. And I'm not talking about things like, Hatsune Miku, Kasane Teto, both amazing, but more specifically synths that have the quality of a vocal. One of the first videos in my tutorial series was going over how to make synths sound like vocals and use them for chromatics. And this video is kind of an addendum to that, except we're going over a specific character, that being Tabby. I don't know how many of you follow me on Twitter, at HighPoweredKeys, but I announced a while ago that I worked on the Tabby mod. Well, briefly. As of me recording this audio, the Tabby mod has very recently been cancelled. But while I was on the team, I had the opportunity to work on a couple songs, which I will be releasing at a later time, and it got me thinking about Tabby's voice. Although Tabby has been portrayed by different voice actors in the mod's time, one thing that always remained the same was his voice, in that it's actually a synth. So in this video, I'm going to be going over how to achieve that effect. But first, a couple of quick things before we get into it. One, in order to do Tabby's voice, this will require the Serum VST. I'm sure there are a couple of different synth VSTs that this could be done in, but the way Serum handles format filters is very specific. Secondly, since this tutorial is going more in depth about specific effects, parameters, and such, as I'm explaining how to do things, you'll see this bar on the bottom with the information. That way you can easily get it without having to listen to me yap about it. Lastly, if you just want the original Serum presets, I will leave links to them in the description. These presets were created by TENZU, the original composer of Tabi, and Rareblend, a composer who was on the Revival team. I'll also be leaving links to their sources in the description so you can go support them. Without further ado, let's get on to it. Firstly, let's go over the original preset created by TENZU. To start off, we're going to go through the hard bass presets and choose the preset Access to Mothership Denied. And fun fact, this bass preset is actually the same preset that Matt Money uses for Cyrix. So let's make some adjustments to this preset. For oscillator A, you're going to want to choose the Monster 4 waveform under the Spectral tab. Set the unison to 10, the detune to 0.35, wavetable position at 0, and the level at 75. Copy oscillator A to oscillator B, and the only thing we're going to change here is making the waveform Monster 9. Set your sub-oscillator to the pulse waveform, lower the octave to -2, and have the level at 54%. For envelope 1 and envelope 2, you're going to want to keep the same parameters, except for envelope 2, you're going to want to drag this point all the way to the bottom. For LFO 1, grab the top of the triangle and drag it down to the bottom left about the third notch on the grid. Now for LFO 3, this is what's going to control your vowels. While holding Shift and Alt, or Option if you're on a Mac, dragging with your mouse will have the LFO snap to certain points on the grid. Our grid is on an 8x8 pattern, so what we're going to do is we're going to make our pattern 4, 8, 2, 6, 8, 3, 7, 8. This is the vowel pattern that's used in Genocide. Now you can do whatever you want for this pattern to get the vowels you want, but in order to get that clean and immediate start to your vowels, you'll still want to keep these same general principles in mind, and make sure you have the rate to LFO 2 set to 2 bars. Make the rate for LFO 1 1/4. For both of your LFOs, make sure that the trigger mode is set to off and the BPM and anchor are set to on. For your filter, make sure that both oscillators A and B are routed through it. Then choose MG Low 6. Have your cutoff at 622 Hz, the resonance at 88%, and the drive at 5%. In your Effects tab, set the filter to Format 2, the cutoff to 0%, and the format at 13%. Now getting into modulation, have envelope 2 modulating oscillators A wavetable position at 35%, the wavetable position of oscillator B to 40%, and the drive in the Effects tab by 6%. Have LFO 1 modulating oscillators A wavetable position to 40% as well. For LFO 3, have it modulating the filter effects cutoff by 80% and the format by 17. Lastly, have the portamento turned on to always and at 6% and set the tame macro all the way to 100. And when you're done with that, you'll have something like this. Now let's get into the preset by Rareblend that's used in the Revival. Like the last one, we're starting off by using another preset as a bass. This time, it's the mean roar bass under the hard bass presets. For oscillator A, have the wavetable position at 160, 2 voices of unison with 0.001 detune, the blend at 37, and the level at 60. For oscillator B, have 15 voices of unison, 0.05 detune, 78% blend, the level at 50%, and the octave at -2. For the sub-oscillator, have the level at 100. For your noise oscillator, choose AirCan 5 and have the level at 66%. On your Effects tab, disable Hyper, Chorus, and Reverb, and enable Distortion. Reorder your effects chain so that it's Hyper, Filter, Distortion, Compressor, and EQ. For your effects filter, have it at Formant 2, the cutoff at 0, the resonance at 0, and the formant at 20. For the drive, have it to the diode 1, the frequency at 13920, the bandwidth at 0.3, the drive at 29, and the mix at 36. For your compressor, disable multiband, change the mix to level, setting the level to 1.5 decibels and the threshold at 0. Then have the velocity modulating the cutoff of the Formant 2 filter by 100%. What this will do is that it will change the vowels relative to what velocity you're at. And after that's done, you should have something like this.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.